J-Math.
Welcome to the second video for lesson 2 in the grade 11 exponents chapter. This time we're looking at type 2 sums where it's exponential fractions but there's a plus or a minus between the terms. So in type 1 it was only multipliers between the terms and now it's pluses or minuses and we do it completely differently. So this time we are going to give each exponent its own base. So guys, what I mean with that is there's a plus 3 exponent, but it's connected to the n, which has a base of 2. So I am going to split that and give it its own base. So every exponent needs its own base. The moment you did that, you are going to look for a common factor, and I can see, okay, there's a 2n, there's a 2n. I can take it out as a common factor, write it in front, and then see if it can maybe cancel out with the bottom. Now, in some questions, you need to do the common factor thing for the top, and then separately for the bottom, and then it will only be able to cancel out. But I would say type 2 is generally much easier than type 1. So let's look at a few more difficult examples, and then I hope it makes sense. So for the next one on the left here, I can see there's lots of pluses and minuses. So I'm giving all of them its own base. So that's where this step comes from, this one, and this one. Okay, so gave each of those exponents their own base. Now, after that step, I am looking for a common factor. So at the top, I can take out 2 to the power x, and it would look like that. And at the bottom, I can take out 2 to the power x, and it would look like that. Now I cancel those front common factors, and from there, you can really just type it in your calculator and get the answer. Okay, so I think it's pretty simple. Now, let's look at this monster of a sum. So it looks massive, but we're just following the same steps. So I'm going to give this minus 1 and plus 1, I'm going to give its own base. But first, I need to shift fact. So I need to make all the bases into prime numbers. So the 18, the 54, and the 6, I need to shift factor. That's what happened in step 2 there. Then I needed to simplify, so I needed to multiply the outside exponent with each base on the inside. Okay, and that's what makes the sum look massive. But then after that, I am just going to simplify and then look for common factors. So I can see all my terms have a 2 to the power n. Then I need to check the 3's. There's a 3 to the power 3n, a 3 to the power 3n. So that's why I can take it out as a common factor at the top. Now at the bottom, I just per ongeluk have the same factors there, so they can cancel out. And then from there, I just use the calculator to work out the sum. Okay, so look at this one closely. Maybe write the first step and try it to see if you can follow each step and see if you can get to 15. Okay, now let's do a few together with the first question. So at the top, I need to give that plus 2 its own base. So I'm going to say this is 7 to the power n, 7 to the power 2. Now, very important, this 42, I can shift fact it, but I don't have to because it doesn't have an exponent. I'm really not interested in it. I'm just going to type it in the calculator later. But the 7 to the power n, that I'm suspecting is going to be my common factor. But first, I need to give this plus 1 its own base. So that plus 1, I'm just changing. Now I can see the top, I can't do much. But at the bottom, I can take out a common factor of 7 to the power n. Okay, so this one and this one I can take out and write it in front. So that's 7 to the power n, and then 42 plus 7 remains. The 7 to the power n's cancel out now, and then I'm left with 7 squared, so 49, over 42 plus 7, which is 49, and then the final answer would just be 1. Okay, is there anything tricky there, guys? Leave me a comment or tell me if something is weird there. Next one. So now, once again, step 1, just check that everything that has an exponent n is in prime form. Yes, it is. And then I'm just going to check for exponents that doesn't have a base. So minus 2 to the power n, there's a minus 1. So I need to give it a base of 2. At the bottom, the 9 I can leave. And then there's a 2 to the power n times 2 squared. Now I'm looking for the common factor, and the common factor will be 2 to the power n because it's in both terms. So 2 to the power n goes in front. If I take those green terms away, I'm left with 5 minus 2 to the power minus 1. And then at the bottom, I can't take it as a common factor. I'm just going to write it in front. And then the 9 stays there, and the 2 squared stays there. Those two cancel out. And what I'm left with at the top, so guys, remember, you can just type this in the calculator. But what I'm left with at the top would just be 5 minus a half, and then over 9 times 4. So that would actually be 4,5 over 36. And then, if I'm not mistaken, this answer will be 1 over 8. But just use your calculator to get there and get your full marks. In the next question, just going to follow the same steps. So even if the exponent is a negative, that doesn't matter. I'm just going to follow the same steps. So 3 times 2 to the power minus x, can't do anything there. Then minus 4, here are 2 exponents, so I need to give them each a base. So 2 to the minus x, 2 to the minus 2. The first one just stays like that. And then I need to split this and say it's 2 to the power minus 1. Okay, now I'm taking out a common factor, and this is one of those where there's a common factor at the top and a common factor at the bottom. Okay, so I need to do the top and the bottom separately. Please don't write 2 to the power minus x and then I took it out the top and the bottom in one bracket. Don't get creative like that. Just do it separately. Okay, so 2 to the power minus x, and then what's left is 3 minus 4 times 2 to the power minus 2. At the bottom, 2 to the power minus x, and what's left? Remember, if I take out the entire term, I need to put a 1 in its place. Okay, perfect. And now from there, I can just type that in my calculator because it looks very complicated, but it actually is not. So this is just 3 minus 4 times a quarter, which is just 1, and then 1 minus a half. Okay, final answer would then actually just be 2 divided by a half, which is 4. Final question for this video. I now need to write everything in terms of a 2. First term is fine, so 2 to the power 1 minus 2x. And then the next one, remember 4 I can write as 2 squared. But if it's 1 over 4, I can write it as 2 to the power minus 2. So just check there a bit if it's not clear. But because it's a fraction, I can take it to the top, and that's where the minus comes from. So I'm going to immediately write this as 2 to the power minus 2, and then I'm just going to put this in brackets, and then I'm going to simplify later. At the bottom, that is still 2 to the power 2, and then minus 2 minus x. Now, see, I made a mistake now. And my mistake is I somewhat changed this to a multiply. Please focus, people. So I can edit this out so you don't see my mistake, but then I'm not going to learn something, and you are not going to learn something. Please focus. When you write down and you're stressed, it's so easy to change a minus to a times. Okay? Your pen just doesn't go for the full thing, and you just make a dot, and after a while, it just becomes a times. Please double check once you've written a line. This must be a minus. Okay, now I need to give each term or each exponent its own base. So this is 2 to the power 1 times 2 to the power minus 2x minus 2 to the power. I now need to multiply that minus 2 in. So minus 2x, and I'm going to give it its own base. And then this would be minus 4. Okay, my fractions are never long enough, as you can see. And then in the next one, I now need to take that 2 and multiply it with both, and then split it to give each its own base. So this will be 2 to the power minus 4 times 2 to the power minus 2x. Now I'm checking for my common factor. My common factor would be 2 to the power minus 2x. It's also there, but it's not up top. So take it out as a common factor, and then just write what's left over. So 2 minus 2 to the power minus 4. At the bottom, I'm just going to shuffle them. So 2 to the power minus 2x times 2 to the power minus 4. The first terms cancel out each time, and then that part I can just type on the calculator. And my calculator tells me this answer is 31. Okay, there's still one more video for this lesson, but make sure you know each one separately to know which type and how to identify the types.
If this video helped you, please like and subscribe.
JJ, man.